In Eightfold Path, first path is right view. The first practice of the Noble Eightfold Path is right view. Samyaga Drishti. Right view is first of all a deep understanding of the Four Noble Truths: our suffering, the making of our suffering, the fact that our suffering can be transformed, and the path of transformation. The Buddhas said that right view is to have faith and confidence that there are people who have been able to transform their suffering. Venerable Shariputta added that a right view is knowing which of the four kinds of nutriments that we have ingested have brought about what has come to be. Shariputra described a right view as the ability to distinguish wholesome roots, Kushala Mola, from unwholesome roots, Akushala Mola. In each of us, there are wholesome and unwholesome roots or seeds in the depths of our consciousness. If you are a loyal person, it is because of the seed of loyalty is in you. But don't think that the seed of betrayal is not also in you. If you live in an environment where your seed of loyalty is watered, you will be a loyal person. But if your seed of betrayal is watered, you may betray even those you love. You will feel guilty about it. But if the seed of betrayal in you becomes strong, you may do it. The practice of mindfulness helps us identify all the seeds in our store consciousness and what are the ones that are the most wholesome. When one person comes up to us, the very sight of him makes us uncomfortable. But when someone else walks by, we like her right away. Something in each of them touches a seed in us. If we love our mother deeply, but feel tense every time we think of our father, it is natural that when we see a young lady who looks like our mother, we will appreciate her. And when we see a man who evokes the memory of our father, we will feel uncomfortable. In this way, we can see the seeds that we are in us, that are in us, seeds of love and for our mother and seeds of hurt with our father. When we become aware of the seeds in our storehouse, we will not be surprised by our own behavior or the behavior of others. The seed of Buddhahood, the capacity to wake up and understand things as they are, is also present in each of us. When we join our palms and bow to another person, the we acknowledge the seed of Buddhahood in him or her. We, when we bow to a child this way, we help him grow up beautifully and with self-confidence. If you plant corn, or corn will grow. If you plant wheat, wheat will grow. If you act in a wholesome way, you will be happy. If you act in a unwholesome way, you water the seeds of craving, anger and violence in yourself. Right view is to recognize which seeds are wholesome and to encourage those seeds to be watered. This is called selective touching. We need to discuss and share with each other to deepen our understanding of this practice and the practice of the 5 mindfulness trainings, especially the 5th about the foods we ingest. At the base of our views are our perceptions. In Chinese, the upper part of the character for perception is mark, sign, or appearance, and the lower part of the mind or spirit. Perceptions always have a mark, and in many cases, that mark is illusory. The Buddha advised us not to be fooled by what we perceive. He told Subhuti, where there is perception, this is deception. The Buddha also taught on many occasions that most of our perceptions are erroneous and that most of our sufferings comes from wrong perceptions. We have to ask ourselves again and again, am I sure? Until we see clearly, our wrong perceptions will prevent us from having right view. To perceive always means to perceive something. We believe that the object of our perception is outside of the subject, but that is not correct. When we perceive the moon is us. When we smile to our friend is also us because she is the object of our perception. When we perceive a mountain, the mountain is the object of our perception. When we perceive the moon is the object of our perception. When we say, I can see my consciousness in the flower, it means we can see the cloud, the sunshine, the earth, and the minerals in it. But how can we see our consciousness in a flower? The flower is our consciousness, it is the object of our perception. It is our perception. To perceive means to perceive something. Perception means the coming into existence of the perceiver and the perceived. The flower that we are looking at is part of our consciousness. The idea that our consciousness is outside of the flower has to be removed. It is impossible to have a subject without an object. It is impossible to remove one and retain the other. The source of our perception, our way of seeing, lies in our store consciousness. If 10 people look at a cloud, there will be 10 different perceptions of it. Whether it is perceived as a dog, hammer, a goat, depends on our mind, our sadness, our emotions, our memories, our anger. Our perceptions carry with them all the errors of subjectivity. Then we praise, blame, condemn, or complain depending on our perceptions. But our perceptions are made of our afflictions, craving, anger, ignorance, wrong views, and prejudice. Whether we are happy or we suffer depends largely on our perceptions. It is important to look deeply at our perceptions and know their source. We have an idea of happiness. We believe that only certain conditions will make us happy, but it is often our very idea of happiness that prevents us from being happy. Our happiness and the happiness of those around us depend on our degree of right view. Touching reality deeply, knowing what is going on inside and outside of ourselves, is the way to liberate ourselves from the suffering that is caused by wrong perceptions. Sometimes we see our children doing things that we knew will cause them to suffer in the future, but when we try to tell them, they won't listen. We all can do is to stimulate the seeds of right view in them. At a peace rally in Philadelphia in 1966, a reporter asked, are you from Vietnam? This is an example. If you come to Plum Village for one day, You have an idea about Plum Village, but that idea is not really Plum Village. You might say, I have been to Plum Village, but in fact, you have really only been to your idea of Plum Village. Your idea might be slightly better than that of someone who has never been there, but it's still only an idea. It is not the true Plum Village. Your concept or perception of reality is not reality. When you are caught in your perception and ideas, you lose reality. To practice is to go beyond ideas so you can arrive at the suchness of things. No idea is the path of non conception. As long as there is an idea, there is no reality, no truth. No idea means no wrong idea, no wrong perception. Relatively speaking, there are right views and there are wrong views. But if we look more deeply, we see that all views are wrong views. No view can ever be the truth. It is just from one point, and that is why it is called a point of view. If you go to another point, we will see things differently and realize that our first view was not entirely right. Buddhism is not a collection of views, it is a practice to help eliminate wrong views. When we begin the practice, our view is a vague idea about the teachings, but conceptual knowledge is never enough. The seeds of right view, the ignorance, sorrow, and disappointment. We have to put our views into practice. The 8 practices of the Noble Eightfold Path nourish each other. As our view becomes more right, the other elements of the Eightfold Path is in us. Right view, right mindfulness, right concentration strengthen and deepen right view. Right action has to be based on right view. Right livelihood clarifies right view. Right view is both a cause and an effect of all the other elements of the path. So, right view is the vital one among all. Right view is both a cause and effect of all the other elements of the path.